With the Investing News Network, I'm Scott Tibbles. Today, I'm at PDAC Day 2, and joining me now is Katrina Nokleby. She's the Minister of Industry, Tourism and Investment, and also the Minister for Infrastructure in the Northwest Territories. Thank you so much for joining me, Katrina.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So, to start off with, what are you doing here at PDAC, and how's it been going?
Oh, excellent. So I'm here at PDAC as part of the Invest Canada North, which is a collaboration between the governments of the Yukon, the Northwest Territories, and Nunavut, with funding from the federal government that was announced at Roundup. We were able to have a larger presence here at PDAC and will for the next 3 years. And we're just here to promote mining, the mining industry, the mineral exploration industry in the Northwest Territories, and show investors that we're ready to do business.
Okay, and so looking at the news that's been happening around the world and specifically here in Canada. So a few weeks ago, Teck Resources announced that they were withdrawing their application for a major project, $20 billion, a major oil sands project. How does the loss of a project like that affect the Northwest Territories? The oil sands project was near the Northwest Territories. There might be flow-on effects. Is there any sort of impact?
I think there would be an impact just to the overall sort of idea of investor certainty in Canada and in the North. We are definitely a place that should be attractive to investors. We're geopolitically stable. We have, especially in the Northwest Territories, a very complex and robust regulatory regime. So it is a little bit concerning that there is maybe perhaps misinformation being spread about the impacts of some of these projects. And, we really want to showcase that when we do mining in the Northwest Territories, we do it right, and we make sure that we are having the minimal amount of environmental impact that we can have, and just show people that it's a great place to do business.
Has the loss of such a project caused concern in the resources industry in the territories, in the Northwest Territories?
I'm not sure that I've heard that specifically. There actually was some environmental concern as us being the downstream, watershed for that project. I would have to say it's probably a little bit early. I haven't had a lot of conversation with investors and whether or not they were seeing that as sort of a negative for the Northwest Territories, but I would say probably not so much, but yeah.
And looking at who's being blamed for the loss of this project, so talking heads in the industry and certainly the government of Alberta seem to be blaming outside actors for the loss of such a project. So I suppose that plays into the investor certainty angle. Can investors in Canada be sure that a project anywhere in the country has the chance of going ahead if they can be derailed? I mean, these are accusations, but there's the sentiments and the visuals of what's happened.
Right. I do think we could definitely be influenced by outside factors. We've had people show up to do presentations in our capital city that do come from other places, and sometimes you do have to wonder what the motive is. It's maybe not always as pure. I think that we really need to get out there and start spreading our message that we do it right, and we actually have a lot of Indigenous organization and government buy-in. Our regulatory system, like I said, is very, very robust. It's set out in the land treaties that we have. So we have 5 water boards, and they're appointed. There's a lot of Indigenous members. So actually, we do things right in the Northwest Territories. So I think part of my job is to make sure I get that information out there and sort of dispel some of that misinformation about the environmental impacts of mining. Because if we don't have mining, we aren't moving towards a green economy or green renewable resources. We need lithium, we need cobalt. If you want to have solar panels, all of these things have mining involved with them. So I think getting that information out there and sort of showing people in the general public how mining actually affects their day-to-day lives, I think is really key for us to dispel this kind of misinformation. Yeah.
Do you think that the federal government is doing enough to protect Canadian mining and projects in Canada?
I think the federal government is very supportive of the mining industry in Canada. I wouldn't want to sort of pass judgment or say how they're doing one way or the other. From what I can see, they seem to be very supportive. I know the government of the Northwest Territories is very, very supportive of mining. It is the backbone of our industry and of our economy. We've been seeing some downturn there, and so it's definitely impacting us and the ability to deliver social programs or have adequate housing. One of the things I am trying to sort of have investors realize that is if they come and they open a mine or do a project in the Northwest Territories, their dollars are going to have a huge social impact to the communities that are there. So I'm trying to to get them to realize this is a legacy project. This is your feel-good, your PR project is coming to the Northwest Territories and investing your money in a place and then the people of the Northwest Territories. So we're trying to leverage all of that kind of work towards training opportunities for our people so that it's not just a matter of cutting a check to an Indigenous group or such. It's a matter of providing actual meaningful work going forward.
And so staying with the similar theme, so in the last 2 weeks there was the Fraser Institute's annual survey of mining companies. One of the key findings was that there were no Canadian jurisdictions in the top 10 out of 76, which was a low number. It's lower than previous years. But out of the 76, the Northwest Territories came in at 35th, down from 10th. From 83 just last year. What are your thoughts on what's happened? What can the Northwest Territories do to turn this around?
So I think I have to get more familiar with the report. It's just come out and I've been quite busy. We've been in session. However, it is my understanding that there wasn't a lot of uptake on the survey and such in the Northwest Territory. So perhaps we could help the Fraser Institute out by next time, maybe getting some of this survey or information to our people so that they can have an input on it. It's a little bit concerning. I don't like whenever information is going out there that we're not a place to invest, because I don't think that's true. And we really do have buy-in from the majority of our people. We definitely have some, vocal anti-mining sentiment in the North, but it's a very small, concentrated group, like you said, potentially influenced by outside people that are not from the territory. But whenever I go into small communities or speak with Indigenous governments, they recognize that the only way they're going to have economies for their community is to have mining. So while it's concerning, I'm not going to put a lot of faith into it. And, if people want to talk to me about it, I will give them the right information about investing in the Northwest Territories.
And just so wrapping up, do you think that you could tell me what can investors looking at the Northwest Territories have to look forward to? Are there projects on the way, developments on the way, government initiatives? What's on the horizon? So
we do definitely have a very good mining incentive program that could be taken advantage of by investors. We also have what we call a Pathfinders program where we help them navigate the regulatory system. I think where investors should be looking at the Northwest Territories is that if they feel that mining does have that bad PR or that bad image, coming into the North and where you have the social buy-in and the social license for mining, I think is key, because we are actually very stable. We're not going to have an uprising and an overthrowing of our government like maybe some of the other places that are mining. So I think that's just really what we need to continue to convey to investors, is that we are a stable, mining-friendly territory and we want them to come and do business with us.
Fantastic. Well, then I think that we'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat with me, Katrina.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, for everything you do for our country.
And again, with the Investing News Network, I'm Scott Tibbles, and I've been having a chat with Katrina Nokleby.